some time for some people to come on in here too, Mark. So that's fine.
Definitely better resolution.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. I can. Do you want? I mean, I don't know if you want to see yourself in high def, but you're there in high def, Mark.
I want to see if I can reverse the camera, though. I don't look like I can. Oh, here we go.
And I can see where I'm going live here on my.
Nope, it only gives me front-facing camera. That's kind of disappointing. See where I'm going live here on my. I thought for sure they'd give me a. And I can't open it up very big either. That's kind of weird.
There's a couple of people coming in here. We're going to be talking about identifying your opportunities in hard surfaces, right? Of course, we always like to wait a couple minutes, give people time to come in here, and it also gives Mark time to readjust his camera. But actually, Mark, that's pretty good. Let me see if I can hear you okay.
I got to comb my hair, too. I just got a haircut, so come on.
Hey, at least you still got hair at your age. You know?
It's the wrong color, but oh well.
Right, what are you going to do, right? They say that's because of lack of copper. Speaking of copper.
It's too many children. That's what causes it.
Yeah, how many kids you got, Mark? 25 or something? I know Mormons are allowed to have a lot.
Allowed? What?
Well, you know what I mean. You guys like to have a lot of kids. Maybe not allowed, but y'all like to have a lot of kids, and that's cool.
You go broke with a lot of kids.
You know, I don't know how you do it. I just got one and one grandson, and you practically go broke, like you said. All right, Mark, we lost your picture there. There you go.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my forward-facing camera done.
And I'm going to get the chat opened up over here so people can come in and say, hey. All right, my son said we're all good in here. That's good. I'm going to, just another reminder, some of you guys are coming in from YouTube, some of you coming in from X, which is Twitter, some of you coming in from the TMF fan page, some of you are coming in from the forum, and some of you are coming in through, let's see here, what's my son saying here? It says do you have any AirPods, Mark, you could wear? My son said your sound sounds kind of far away.
Yeah, I'm using remote. If I put the camera up to my ear, then all you would see is a picture of my eardrum.
That wouldn't be too good. Okay.
It'd be horrifying.
Yeah. Let me know, son. I get my son on text message here, and the numbers are coming in. The numbers are coming up, Mark. So, like I said, this is live in several different channels. And if you don't mind, when you come in, guys, and you say something, and yes, it is on Spotify. We're adding them gradually, so just kind of watch for them. It is on Spotify, so no doubt about it. Okay, he said you're good now, Mark.
Yeah, I can't see anything in the image here. I can't see.
All I can see is your fan.
Yeah.
And your laptop, but I don't see you.
Yeah, I'm out of the picture now.
Mark's hiding from the camera. He's a little camera shy, folks.
Wait, is it here?
Yes, there's your hand. There's your hand.
Oh, okay, I'm trying to reverse the camera, and I don't know how to do it.
Should have figured that out ahead of time.
Oh, there it is. I figured it out. I got to hit this button that has arrows that point in different directions. Allow.
Well, now you're not on here anymore. Okay, there we go. Put it right back.
Oh, I'm forward facing.
Yeah,
forward facing.
Still don't see you yet. Anyway, guys, I wanted to mention to you, when you come in here, you want to make sure that you say who you are when you make a comment. Would help quite a bit. And the reason being is because some of us are coming from different platforms, and some of those platforms will not allow your name to show up. It just says Facebook user or something like that, especially if you're in a private group. That's how it stays private. So definitely let us know who you are when you're coming in. All we got to do is get Mark in here. We're good to go, Mark. I'm ready.
All right. Do you have a video image?
I do. I'm seeing your chair, but you're not in it. It's like the invisible Mark.
Yeah, I'm trying to reverse camera, and I have a picture here of what that looks like, but it's not working.
Look at all those samples you got over there. Good Lord, that's a lot of samples. I thought I had a lot of samples, but you dwarfed the amount I have. Tim Warden from BC, Canada. What does BC stand for?
British Columbia.
I know. Wait for him to say it, Mark, but go ahead. You got it. BC, like before Christ? Canada? Before Canada, right?
Man, yeah, I don't see me anymore.
Bring cash. Somebody said bring cash. Yeah, Trudeau needs more cash, doesn't he, Mark?
Yeah.
And whoever said bring cash, put your name up there. Let me know who you are in there, because like I said, some of you guys coming from the private group. As we get Mark on here, we're going to talk about identifying opportunities in hard surfaces. I don't know if anybody had a chance, but today I did several live videos from a job that I'll be putting on YouTube next week. And that job is okay. You got me, Tim. All right, good point. That job is going to be edited and put up next week, and it's a full LVP job from start to finish. So basically, what I did was in this house, it's a townhome down by the beach. It had all carpet. And then when all the carpet's done, all the tile done, linoleum, and then the LVP downstairs, which was pretty cool. And so, even though I've done an LVP video before, how you doing, Matt? Even though I've done an LVP video before, but I basically just did it with the little platforms. This one is where I'm actually doing like 300 square feet in a living room, dining room combo with a little bit of hall. So you get to see the whole thing. You get to see the whole logistics. So not only do you get to see the whole process, but you can kind of see how I go through the process and how I handle certain problems that pop up. Because when you're working in ideal conditions, as we both know, Mark, right? Because we're not working ideal conditions over there, apparently, because Mark is still lost. As soon as Mark shows up, we'll get started. But I just want to mention that video will be on YouTube. So you don't miss the video. If you don't mind, well, really, you should. Go ahead and subscribe. It'll give you an alert, and you catch every video that comes out of TMF. And we're constantly, every week, working on videos and video footage. So that way, it'll enable you to, there you are, Mark. That way it enables you to expand your horizon. Mark came and disappeared. That's Mark's disappearing act.
Look, I'm new at this, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. I think I'm going to pop on. Join stream.
All right, here we go.
Hit in a river. I'm lost in the stream.
Yeah, but now you just got a black screen.
Yeah, but I see you. Oh, are you ugly today?
Yeah, thanks a lot, pal. Thanks a lot. Feelings are mutual. Feelings are mutual.
You can't see me. You can tell.
Nope.
What the heck?
It just says MM. Eminem.
I know. I'm pushing every button.
Mark's a rapper.
It worked a minute ago, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Worked like a champ. We're going to lose people in here, Mark. They're going to fall asleep.
Well, you can hear my nice boy. Front camera. Let's put a rear.
I can hear you talking. That's okay. All right, picture's back, but you're not back.
Yeah, this is the only way to see me. I'm not to face that. See.
Yeah, I can see you now, clearly.
Yeah. Well, let's get started.
Okay. All right, Mark, let's talk about opportunities. First of all, you and I put this together. You wanted, and rather than just saying IDing hard surfaces, you wanted to put identifying your opportunities in hard surfaces. What made you want to go that direction instead?
Well, obviously, you know what you're walking into. You're going to be afraid. Anyone would. The first marble, that looks expensive. What did that conjure up? Screw this up. So until you know what it is, have the flexibility, be comfortable with suggesting, clean it. With porcelain, and they could cut natural stuff. Choose it. Look great. It would fool a mason. Anybody had a hard time. Feel had to touch it, turn it over. Really,
Mark,
real or not?
Your your volume is coming through a little choppy.
Yeah, I'm getting feedback.
Oh, that's why. Do you have your phone on or anything?
No, my phone. Well, that's how I'm talking. I'm gonna turn my volume down. How about that?
Okay.
Is that any better?
Try. Good. Now we lost your face again.
Well, because it turned around. Yeah.
Okay.
So, once you know what you're dealing with, whether it's natural or man-made.
That's much better. Go ahead. Let's start that over again. You were talking about fear, and we talked about this earlier before. We've talked about it on several occasions.
Everything we've ever done in our lives for the first time, white knuckle terror, riding a bike, driving a car. It's an adventure. You want to get through the fear, and the only way you get through the fear is A, education, and B, experience. You're going to know what to do, what not to do. And trial and error is a great teacher. It's just expensive as heck. When you crash your car, it's expensive because you figure out how not to drive it. With stone, it's a little more forgiving. With vinyl, it's not. If you do something to damage it, burn it. Like the customer that laid a fondue pot when it was a little too fiery and she got scared. She pulls it off, puts it on the vinyl floor, cooks a round circle in it, sees the smoke and the sizzling and the weird smell, and she pulls it off and puts it on the carpet.
Right. Or on the vinyl, like you're saying, LBP, LBT, LBP.
So when we know what we can do with the product and what we shouldn't do with the product, we're just going to we call that being experienced. And you can then be considered an expert, right? The more you do something, the more knowledge you have, the more skill you have, the more expert you are. And, that's the whole purpose. So when we identify that a floor is something, you identify what it is. Then you say, what can it use right now? Does the homeowner expect it to look brand new? Does the homeowner want to sell the house and they just want the uglies to go away? We clean it. Are they going to invest in a polish job? Are they going to invest in repairing? Are they going to put a coating on it? That's on how well you communicate with the customer. And as a salesman, we're both educators and salesmen. We want to convince people what would be worth investing in, what would be the right thing to do given the circumstance or the needs of the client.
And their budget.
Really needs what you have. You need to teach them their options. And you can't show them options or discuss options till you know yourself what the options are. So do I clean this floor and leave? Or do I polish it? Do I take scratches out? Do I put a coating on it or a sealer? All of that is constantly, an option for you and the customer. So until you tell them what can be done, you're not going to offer anything. You're going to say, I'm really good at cleaning, so that's all I want to do for you. So that...
And Mark, really, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what somebody wants to do.
Nothing at all.
But there's two problems with that. One is you're leaving money on the table. And number two, you're not helping the customer preserve her fine furnishings. And we lost your picture again, Mark. You've been shaky, and now you're gone.
Oh, let me look here. Yeah, it's trying to pay with Visa for some reason.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It wants you to pay? What?
There we go. Hey, you saw me for a minute there. I'm facing the wrong way.
That's too funny.
So once you have your options figured out, then you communicate them to the customer. And if you do it with confidence, they're going to take your lead. Isn't that what it's about? If you can lead a customer a certain way, I don't mean strong arm them.
Of course.
I don't mean tell them something they don't need. I mean give them their options. And their options are many. But do you know what they are?
You know what I call that, educate. We live in the day of the educated consumer. So if you can educate them and then they're making that decision, you're leading them. So you're basically soft selling them rather than hard selling them. And they're basically selling themselves in the process because now you're offering some alternatives where, okay, you know what? I can just get a clean, or I can get another wear coat. I can get another wear layer, and I can preserve my fine furnishing. And that's really what it's all about. Or I can make it look better too and more attractive. So all those things, mean more to the customer. But if they're not aware of it, they're not going to make any purchases. If you're not aware of it, you don't know how to offer it. So it's a vicious cycle. But if you can get it down pat, no problem. So I agree with that 100%. And you're just talking about marble right now, for instance, or a stone floor.
That's just if you have engineered wood, Saltillo, must have coating. Don't have a coat, going to scratch or oils the soil, look bad in it. So tell the customer you have options. Which would you want? Short-lived, black. You want it cheap, really cheap, look a way to blow and go, then you can do that. But there's a price to pay.
Hey, don't talk about Stanley Stammer like that. Just kidding, Stanley. Don't get mad. Just humor.
Is he on the list? I hope not.
Anyway. No, I don't see him. I don't think that's his actual name either, Mark. Mark, are you still getting feedback?
Feedback as audio?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, because I can hear you still. You came back choppy again last time you came back in again. But I see you clearly now, at least.
They're getting so good with flooring that to tell the difference between a porcelain, for example, here's a porcelain tile. It's got both visual texture and kind of a pebbly, very micro. If I can get it close enough, you see those little tiny pebbles, a little texture there?
Yeah, almost like an orange peel.
Yeah, but visually, we also have a hand scrape look. If I could shine it just right. Let's see if I can go this way.
Oh, yeah. Did. Yep.
Okay, so that's one. And then you've got engineered wood, which is on an MDF base. And then you've got actual hardwood.
Medium density fiber. Yikes.
They've taken a wire brush and brushed out this soft grain and then put a stain in it, a whitewashing. And what do you think that whitewash texture, if you can see my reflection? Those are open cuts.
It's going to grab everything.
It's going to put the dirt there. When you mop it with microfiber, the approved tool, all that light whitewash is going to load with black dirt.
Which is good for us.
And so how are you going to get that clean? That's a deep question, but you got to know that this isn't super duper turbo cleanable. This surface is. This surface is not. This surface is, believe it or not, uniquely different. It is engineered wood, but it's compressed fossilized bamboo. Bamboo, really? Doesn't even look like bamboo. This looks, I don't know, maple. It's got texture in it. These little pits and grooves and channels and everything around here. Just added it with rough sand. That's still going to work. You're
trying to imitate a kind of a weathered wood look. It's pretty cool.
It is. Very attractive. It's got urethane on it. It's very hard. You can't scratch this very easily. I mean, normally I could take a wood sample with my thumbnail and go across it real hard, and I could leave a little ditch in there. This stuff is fossilized bamboo, which means it's been recompressed, air purged, and then a resin has gone into it. So this wood, normally you'd have these little tiny tubules full of this air. They're like straws.
Look at that. So it's all full now.
And bamboo is not very hard, typically.
Right.
This stuff is. This can be submerged in water. It won't absorb anything. It's no longer hygroscopic. That's crazy. But it is also very dense. If you lifted this piece, this feels like it's porcelain tile. It's that dense. Where you get a real bamboo.
Hold on, Mark. Don't go any further. I want to ask you a question on all that. On those three. Don't get too many pieces. Let's stick to those three for a second, okay? All right. Hold on a second, Mark. On those other three, okay? Or even this one, but let's do this. I went into a house today, right? And a lot of the homes, let's just say a good portion of the homes in our beach areas, for some reason, they are on slabs, and you can't. They don't have extra pieces. So I go in there and I tap on it, and I can tell that that it's .lbp. I can tell it's not tile. How can I tell the difference if it is the bamboo or it's the MDF?
Well, you really can't. And you ask the homeowner whether they're going to say, I don't know, I bought the house 5 years ago.
Yep.
No clue. There are certain areas in the home, evidence that you can work with. Again, you did one test, and that's the tap test. When you tap on an LVP, it has a real thuddy, dull sound. If you can, I don't know if you can hear that.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you tap on an MDF back one, you almost want to get a bunch of these samples and start tapping. Keep them on your tap sound effects shelf, and you just get super familiar with them. And then when you're in the field, you can do those tests. One of them, of course, is to touch. What temperature is this floor versus this floor versus this floor? Do you have any idea? You wouldn't think there'd be any differences, but porcelain and ceramic is
a lot cooler.
Is the refrigerator? It's almost icy cold.
Yeah,
very cold.
It's not even comfortable to me
because it's been cemented to the floor, to the slab.
Right.
And so it's transferring that temperature. A vinyl is kind of insulated. There's nothing to pass that up. Wood does not transfer thermal dynamic very well at all. That's what makes it a good insulator. So it's not important that you know whether it's bamboo or not versus a hardwood, but the characteristics, like a wire brushed, if you look at the product, see how it says wire brushed? Oh, everything's backwards in the camera. Trust me, if you can't read backwards, that's called wire brushed oak. L-I Limboke.
Yeah, that's quite a name. Mm-hmm.
And this is bamboo laminated, but it's not densified. This piece of wood feels like balsa wood, like pine. Is super light.
It looks like, yeah.
And in fact, this piece of engineered wood is as heavy it's heavier actually than that piece of bamboo. And look how thin it is. But look what we have. I call this engineered wood. I did, because this is a super thin layer on top of vinyl. That is vinyl.
That's crazy.
But real wood has been laminated to the surface.
Why are they mixing them all up like this, Mark? Doesn't make sense.
Manufacturers can do whatever they dang well want.
True.
I both know that. They can build a stupid floor called Pergo, and it will live for 15 years before everyone said, that's the dumbest floor I've ever owned. Because it absorbs water and is destroyed within one renter. And then they keep thinking smarter, and they say, what can I make that's waterproof? Well, LVP. All that is vinyl. All those are vinyl.
Wow.
Those are vinyl. Those are vinyl. You know, they're vinyl, but they have construction characteristics. Here's one that's got a foam core to it. It's PVC foam. I can put my fingernail into it, and it's much softer. What advantage? I don't know.
Well, no, I would think, Mark, is more comfortable under the feet.
That's right. There's a little cush happening. In fact, almost all of these have a thin layer of actual foam. It's actually rubber.
Because, you know, a lot of these floors, I'm walking in on them, and they don't have a feel of luxury. They don't have a feel of comfort. You know, they just...
Yeah, we're always critics. We say, you know what, I wouldn't own that. But, you know, it's what the industry does. We're stuck with what they make. In the old days, your old-fashioned VCT had a thing called asbestos in it.
Yep.
Really? We've learned later asbestos is toxic as crap. It's no good for you. This has minerals in it, and then it has asbestos to keep it durable, keep it from shrinking, and... But it didn't keep
you from getting sick or dying. Gotcha.
It won't die for 100 years. So when we walk into a house, if we don't identify what we're dealing with, then we're pretty much just shooting from the hip.
But Mark, there's going to be times where you can't identify it. What do you do in that circumstance?
Well, you're not going to identify, but you're going to be able to tell just from those tests we talked about, the tap.
I'd like to say this, Mark. Many times you have to, if you're going to test them like that, you need to set them down on some concrete or some wood, and then tap it.
That's where it's at. If it's down on a floor,
yes,
it resonates.
That's how I do them. That's how I learned how to do it, because it's definitely a different sound and feel.
It is, and it's the way we can't teach that in a video or a class. Really, you got to have these samples. You got to go have some experience. Then when you start going to houses and you realize, that's a safe one to use the turbo one to clean. There's no water damage here. There is with this. In fact, you know what? You can even read the box of tile. Let me show you something I found out. This is from Lowe's, and I don't know quite how to read that. I'll read it. You guys just have to read backwards. This says Quick Step Studio, waterproof laminate. Waterproof. Really? Let me see what I did when I put this in.
That's an oxymoron. Who's ever heard of waterproof laminate?
I put this in water, and you see this? There's a blistery.
Yes, I see that blister. That's the skin peeling.
Oh, that's a coating there. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this shine difference right there. You see?
Oh yeah. There's a line.
On that side.
Yes.
And when I got this wet, this thing was about 3 times, or no, it was almost twice as thick. Right.
Really?
It absorbed an incredible amount of water and thickened. In fact, this profile here, let's see, right there where my thumb is, this was thicker. You can still see it. The water.
Oh, I can see. Yeah, you mean it's more thin off to the one side and thicker as it goes further over.
So all that water swelled the MDF, and it ain't going to go back to new.
No, that's shot.
Yeah, you're never going to put the floor back in purpose. So.
Well, Mark. If you're in doubt, do you agree? Maybe you should just go the least aggressive method. If you're totally in doubt. And, maybe don't either turn it down or go the least aggressive. I'll say one thing about the Vibe or something like that. The Vibe or an Orbital, it has the capability just to put a fine mist out while it's cleaning, or you can be using your Super Absorb and you're absorbing it at the same time. So moisture doesn't really have a chance to penetrate. Yes, that's what a Super Absorb is. It is a bonnet. So in those circumstances, you grab your OP machine and you just pop the switch every once in a while, a light pop. But I would venture to say, Mark, I'd probably say 95% to 98% of the time I can recognize and I can identify the floor and I can get the customer's input putting those together. So that doesn't happen very often, but you can kind of tell if it's in the laminate family at least, you know. And so, but you can't tell if it's that bamboo that's got the holes filled versus a bamboo that doesn't have it, or whether it's an MDF. You can't tell that.
It's an easy test. So once you realize what I explained with this one bamboo that is fossilized, you try to fingernail across with pressure. Now, obviously, you're not going to damage the middle. You're going to go somewhere. Bring your cell phone with a flash, or I like to carry a small LED flashlight. I carry wherever I go, and just do this with it across really hard. Most hardwood floors will actually compress with a fingernail. Kind of sad. Think about it. It's called a hardwood. This bamboo, for example, you see my little thumb scratches there?
Yes. Oh yeah, I see the little prints in there. Yep.
I did that with my crazy thumbnail.
Well, you know, we all know bamboo's kind of soft. Anyway.
It's grass. It's a spongy grass.
I know. But you know what was weird is I had it in my last shop, and it was actually pretty comfortable to walk on, but it was easily damaged. So everything's a trade-off.
You're right. Maple, for example. Maple is one of the harder woods out there.
Yes.
But I just scratched that maple. No, I didn't scratch.
Wow, you indented it.
I dented it. Really?
Do that again.
Maple gunstock, it's called.
Do that again.
I'm going to do it in front of you.
You just did that.
Thumbnails, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just come across real hard. I just did that.
That's pretty sad.
A hard rock. Well, this isn't hard rock maple.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. But yeah, I see it. I see it. Mm-hmm.
What is a bar stool going to do? What is a shoe with a little rock in it going to do? So the idea that I'm going to pay $3 to $4 a square foot for this versus $7 a foot for this, and not be able to scratch it, not be able to have a flood and wet it. I'm not trying to pitch and sell bamboo, but fossilized bamboo is incredible. You know,
but Mark, you know, there's another way to identify right there by asking the customer if she did buy the floor, how much she paid for it.
Yeah, if they're the original owners.
Right.
Like I say, we have people that buy houses all the time. And
same here.
They're going to buy someone else's house. This came from Direct Floor. All those are bamboo. Every single one is fossilized bamboo. You can tell by the it's
hey, Mark, don't talk, but push those back and forth again. Listen to the sound. Yeah. It sounds like you're working with ceramic or porcelain.
Because they're that dense.
That's crazy.
Of a wood. In fact, when piano makers, guitar makers, the density of wood has a lot to do with the acoustical resonance. And this is why you're tapping on a floor. This is bamboo. This is the raw, naked color of the bamboo. They stain it, impregnate it, and look at what we got. We got some you wouldn't even think is bamboo. Every one of these looks completely different than the other. Here's a rough Sonic. You want some real rustic look? There you go. Pre-scratched, right?
Crazy. Pre-weathered.
How about that one? Does it get any rougher than that? You tell me how you're going to mop that. This is a very interesting one. Who would buy this?
Somebody would, because, you know, it has that antique wood look about it almost, you know, like weathered wood.
If you put that in the kitchen floor,
forget about it.
What is our chance? It's loaded with grease and sugar and dirt. How am I going to make that floor look acceptable and hygienic?
Well, if you're in a nice home and you have that, well, I would think that's where I would sell them a good urethane coating, which would repel it some and kind of level it off some without making it level looking to the eye.
Exactly. So what could you do to make this a more maintainable floor? It's just, think about this. This is what they bought. The architect spec'd it in the commercial building. The interior designer spec'd it. It all went with the decor and the architecture of the house. What are you going to do when Mr. Jones says, I hate this floor? What makes you hate this floor? Oh, I loved it when I saw it, but I can't mop it. It stinks. Do you think this is going to stick with a little bit of food and oil and bacteria and grease? It's going to rank out so fast. So how do we propose anything different than, I'll mop it, do my best.
You know what that kind of reminds me of? My sister-in-law, she lives in a very nice home in Myrtle Beach. She's a broker. And she put that linen tile in her home. And
that's a texture. It's got an appeal, but
it's gorgeous.
Clean it. How well does it clean?
You know, one of the local cleaners I turn on town to there is a TMF cleaner. He comes in, he spins it out with the turbo. It looks great.
Well, and you have to decide whether that's a product. If this has been fossilized and is now waterproof,
go for it.
Can you use a spinner?
Absolutely.
Why would you use a spinner instead of a mop? Because it just blows and sucks all that out. There's nothing there to hide and trap the dirt. What else can you do to make her be able to clean her own floor? Come on, Rob. This is
coat
a
it.
question.
That's what I said. Coat it.
Now, does she want a high gloss shine? Probably not.
No, but I would I definitely wouldn't use acrylic polymer. I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to go ahead and use 100% urethane.
Either urethane or some of the high tech hard products that are expensive. They're one and done. You do them once and you don't do them again.
If you're dealing with that kind of budget with the client, yeah, on a residential, you might not be able to sell it as much, but on a commercial job, perhaps.
If she wants to solve a problem and you don't know what to do, then you can't propose a solution, can you?
Yeah, well, if you're talking about a permanent solution, and that's cool. I like that. But that's why, like you said, it's up to us to educate them and let them make that decision, because I'm not trying to overpressure, oversell them. But I got your point.
So if you can propose a new coating and make it smoother, but still have the character, that's going to keep dirt from trapping in those nooks and crannies. That would definitely keep it from being a high maintenance issue. But you're not limited in variety. They don't have bamboo, let's say. They've got something else that's problematic, like a textured vinyl. These crazy little textures give it the realistic look, but they're not real. They're a mold pressed in from a giant machine that bonded a thin skin. There's your skin fail.
Wait a minute. Did you say skin? Did you skin fail it on purpose?
I did. It helps you see just how difficult
sure does.
These coatings are to maintain and to keep them from getting torn or scratched or nicked. And in this case, it got hooked, by my fingernail, and it was easy for me to completely take it off. So LVP is not, just because it's waterproof doesn't mean it's indestructible. Doesn't even mean that it's scratched.
It's funny you said that LVP I was doing today. It really wasn't that scratch, but where they had all the furniture, the weight of the furniture impressed it, kind of like what your fingernails did. And you saw it, but you really didn't see it much until I put the coating on there. Now, when I say I put the coating on there, of course, the coating was still wet, but as it dries down, you didn't see it as much. But, you're right. If it was a
finish, then it does that. If it's a gloss coat, all of your issues would be present.
That's why there's no way I'd put a gloss coat on that thing. That's for sure. So, I'm going in and identifying. So you've already basically just kind of talked about, you're asking the customer. You are asking her what she has. You are looking at it yourself. You're making a determination. If it's on a slab, like you have a lot of slabs in your area, we have a lot of crawl spaces. At least you can go to a crawl space and you can take and pull the vent up, the heating vent, air conditioning vent, and you can take a look at it and see what you're kind of working with, get a better feel for it. Or you can ask the customer if she has some extra, or where she bought it at, maybe a receipt or something like that too. I remember seeing that last time. Look at that thing, is skinned up. It's amazing because, I bet a lot of customers in their minds might not even know it's just a skin. They probably think it's the whole product, They don't realize they're getting some type of veneer. This is the new world veneer we're dealing with, Mark. Can you hear me, Mark? Mark, we can't hear you anymore, bud. I'm going to have to text your wife and tell her. Think you might have walked away from your sound. Mark is really good, guys, but we're going to have to bring Mark up to date. I might have to, next time I'm out that way, set up his computer and all his little room there so he can keep updating things. So he is still talking. So see if we can get Mark back with us here somehow. See if I can pull my phone cord over here. Get Mark going back again. You're killing me, Mark. Killing me, Smalls. All right. In the meantime, let's see if I can get Mark here. My phone. And I can't change screens here on my phone, on my computer, because we're in a live stream. Mark, you're killing me. But anyway, let's go ahead and review, because me and Mark trying to get his attention. He's still going. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Yep, can't hear you. That's right, can't hear you. Maybe we get Mark to sign language. So anyway, when I went in, yep, can't hear anything. So when I went into that job, and today I actually did a video of walking in, identifying the floor, and I even showed how to do a micro test. So for everybody that's listening right now, I also did a micro test. So in that micro test, I teach you how to go ahead and find out if there's any coatings on there, how to identify the floor, and really identify the solutions. That way you as the professional can educate the client and give them their different options. I like to go with 3 different options personally. I like to offer them to, revive the floor. Now, basically reviving it, I would just say reviving is just kind of reviving the original look of the floor just by cleaning it. The second part would be, I call it refreshing. So refreshing is where I'm going to put like a polymer coat on there. It's going to last about a year. And then I'll ask them if they want a complete refinishing. And that gives them, remember, all this gives them another wear layer, what we're trying to accomplish. And so with that wear layer, I call it refinishing now. And now I'm going to offer them a urethane coating. So I'm giving them 3 different options, and I let the customer choose. I've educated them on what's best. And I think it depends on their budget, and depends on, what they're trying to, how long they want their wear layer or their fine furnishing to last. But if you don't understand that concept, then you can't explain it to the customer. So that's why you have to learn it well yourself to be able to do it. Mark?
Do you have any audio yet?
I do now. Just I can hear you again because I heard the baby. Who is that, your grandchild?
It is a grandchild.
Nice. Congratulations.
So when we already know what we're doing, we can look at our options. There's tile.
Did you hear what I just said, Mark?
Yes, I heard everything. You just couldn't hear me.
Oh, good. Okay. Yep. Gotcha. But what happened? How'd we lose your sound?
I don't know. I could push a button and not know what I'm doing.
Gotcha.
You might think I know stuff, but I don't. Technically, I'm handicapped.
No, you're not. We got faith in you, bud. We got faith in you. That's why I keep coming back. But we're going to get you set up better. I'd like to do a conference call, Mark, with my son because he's the computer genius. So we'll get him and we'll get you all set up and get you set up more better. What do you got there?
This is, you guys have recognized it. It's just in a weird shape. Look at these. Look how small they are. This is Saltillo.
Oh, is it really?
Tile. They're very rough. You can see the back.
Yeah.
Basically handmade with the help of tools and molds and machines. They're not cut. They're just shoved into a mold and popped back out when the clay kind of bakes and dries.
But I usually see it in a darker color than that.
This one is, they're reddish deep. Mm-hmm. This is cotta that is glazable. So that is an actual ceramic glaze on there, and there are accents in the middle. Mm-hmm. This is a really high-end Sheraton hotel lobby. I cringed because this is one of the highest maintenance tiles you could ever have, and having that kind of traffic flow on it.
Craziness.
The building has not even grand opened yet, and they're calling us in to fix it.
No way.
Filthy stuff.
Who recommended that to them?
Architects are prima donnas.
Oh my God.
And interior designers are worse. They'll put the most impractical flooring you could ever imagine. So this requires that you put a coating of wax on it.
What? But why are they doing that?
Because
I understand they're prima donnas, but how is it advantageous to them?
This is not even a square foot, and this is $22 per square foot. So this
costs
$22 in my hand. And when they spec it, interior designers get a piece of the action. They're like self-commissioned salespeople. And when they sell high-end stuff, they make huge profit.
Bucks. Oh, wow.
But they don't have to live there. Do you see what I see in those?
Oh, yeah.
What are those
all the imperfections, cracks, and stuff like that? Pits?
of limestone in the clay when they made this tile. When this floor ever gets wet, those limestone bits are going to expand
Oh
and
my
out
gosh.
pop. These just popped out from the clay drying in the first dry step, and then when the kiln fired, it finished popping them. So did that person that designed this, did the interior designer, want little white bits everywhere in there? Maybe she does. But if there's any more in there or bigger ones, and here's your hint, look on the back side. If that's how many are on the back, can you imagine how many are in the middle or the body of the clay that's going to pop in the future from getting wet? So if you do not cover this with a good high quality polymer or even urethane or a high tech coating, not only will it scratch easy, but just the moment oil spills on it, this is just water, guys. Look how
Look at
dark.
that. Wow. Goes right
So
into it.
and it's super. It's in fact, I sprayed it, and guess what? Do you see any wetness anywhere? The only place you see wetness is where? On the porcelain pieces. See
Wow.
that? These are
Hmm.
that moisture is gone and disappearing and drying fast. But what if that were oil? What if that were urine or coffee or wine or tar from the road? It's
Hey,
going
Mark,
to
somebody made a good point here. They said people are trying to get that rustic look.
sure. It's old world Santa Fe charm. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And in the right architecture, you got to have it. Well, I'd rather pay for a high tech ceramic version of that. Give me the exact stuff that you want in the look, but don't give me the headaches attached.
But what about slip resistance and stuff like
Oh,
that in the
never
natural?
slip on that bad boy, not in a million years. So that kind of motivates them.
Exactly.
So would quartzite. Why wouldn't I buy and put tile made from quartzite? Well, it is beautifully. Look, it's metallic. That's like a silver
Sure
metallic.
is.
That has no coating on it. That is natural raw stone.
Wow.
This side has a coating. Do you see the darker side here?
Oh yeah. Sure can. Now as you move back some, it
That
looks
is
darker.
to
Yep.
protect it from water or oil or soils or urine. I'm going to wet this and then I'm going to wet that. Look how dark that side got.
Somebody says Santa Fe, Albuquerque. That's their home, born and raised. So I guess they're used to seeing a lot of that.
Now, do you see how this side is dark and wet and the
Yes.
other side here does not have darkening?
Slippery with
That
socks even.
that's been sealed. Okay. So
Hmm.
when you see an opportunity, it's because you see a problem. Sometimes you see a problem, the homeowner or the business manager, the manager of the operation, they don't see the problem. They just know that they see dirt and they don't know what the cause of the dirt is.
Right.
And you say, you know what, would really benefit from a high tech or a periodic coating. Saltillo must have it. Slate, in my opinion, must have. You can't put a penetrator on here and say it's going to be easy to clean now, Mrs. Jones. No way. You got two issues: porosity, and you have dirt entrapment because of its mere texture. This is like impossible to ride a mop across. How are you going to mop that? You will never ride a
Mm-hmm.
mop across this. A scrubber, you'll skim the surface, take dirt off the surface, but there's no way you're going to get the little nooks and crannies. A turbo will do great. I love cleaning quartzite with turbos and slate with a turbo because the high pressure, the heat, the chemistry softens and starts the process, and the pressure blows it out of the little nooks and crannies that are hiding. And you put a coating on it, now they actually can do something to keep their own floor clean. They'll get a little sloppier, and you'll still have to come back once a year and still clean nooks and crannies. But your job just got mega easy.
Mark,
On
I've always said, Mark, we're in the solution business.
yeah,
So if we can provide solutions, that opens up the opportunity for the customer. You know what? If you can solve a problem, they'll spend the money. Hey, getting back to somebody mentioned here, Mark, they said never use anything but water base on Saltillo. You agree with that?
um, not necessarily. I had the biggest challenging job one time. Um, they had been using wax as acrylic water based forever, and they hated the cost because every time it starts getting scratched and dull, and in time it yellows depending on the quality of the product. You then have to strip and start over. The cost is just wicked. I mean,
Well, you
it's
can use it. Well, what about a water based urethane?
well, and I used the water-based urethane on a big slate job one time, and it's lasted about 5 years before it's finally worn thin. Here's the
Nice.
when you put those on, if you don't have a real hard high tech that isn't commercial duty, meaning it's not a mall, high traffic, or an industrial location, then you should expect to get huge life out of it. But when it does start to wear, here's the problem: you don't normally just recoat it. you have to take it down, or with urethane will not stick to urethane. You have to screen it. And that's a process. It's not that hard. You just have to include your time and the cost of some prep pad, SPP pads, and bite some scratches in that surface so that the new urethane has a place to bond. So you either strip it completely off, and how do you strip urethane? Paint stripper, methylene
Well, hold
chloride.
on, Mark. Hold on, Mark. I want to tell you what he's saying here. Somebody's saying, no offense, that you're wrong. Hey, by the way, whoever's making these comments, some of you guys coming from private groups, so whoever's talking about the Saltillo right now and making some good points, please give me your name so I can address it, because Facebook hides your name because for privacy reasons. All right. He's saying, Mark, he maintains Saltillo every 9 to 14 months. He said you cannot strip poly, and he just
That
top scrubs and recoats.
he's correct. So it depends on what your customer wants. If you want to, they want to spend the money for polyurethane, or uh, uh, Rex Pro, or some other really hard, long-lived, permanent coating. That's on the customer wanting to spend the money. There's nothing wrong with it. What it does, it cuts us out of the food chain. We're no longer going to come back. Why does Walmart wax and strip, wax and strip, wax and strip? Because it's the cheapest thing short term. In the long term, it's probably the most expensive flooring to have. What's a cheaper floor that they experimented with? Concrete, polished, stained. They would dye the concrete, harden it with hardeners, and then polish it. Just trowel polishing. They didn't bring diamonds in. They just trowel polished it and put a penetrator. It is so hard, but it is still not acid proof. So you spill
Hmm.
some, I don't know, wine, a watermelon leaks under the big display of watermelon, and the acid in the fruit etches the concrete down to aggregate. Yeah, a watermelon will eat through as if it was battery acid. I was called on several
Keep
Walmart
talking,
jobs.
Mark.
How about the drain opener, the drain cleaner in the cleaning aisle? You bust a bottle of that open on that floor, and it's over. It's going to look horrible forever. And there's no putting the genie back in the bottle. So they all have different characteristics, and there are different ways to solve the problem. Here's one that has a comeback. This is concrete tiles. This was in the 40s and 50s and started to die out because it was so impractical. It was hard to maintain the look you want. These are actual colored cement. You see all the colors? Those are all individual colors, and they've been applied not as a glaze, but as a thin skin, 1/8 inch layer of cement. And when this gets stained, how do you chase a stain out of a micro cement that has little bits of sand and cement and dye? And underneath, if you tried to hone it to get the stain gone, like you would a stone, you can see it's variable. See how that has a little dip down and gets thicker, and over here it's a little thinner. There's
Mm-hmm.
the line on this gray side. Let me go over to here. See how it's wavy? It's variable thickness. And underneath is just plain old concrete. Porous, not waterproof at all. It darkened right away when I wet it with water. And it's having a big comeback. Architects and interior designers think this is the cat's meow. This is the wave of the future. We want to have a retro tile. So I sealed this with a penetrator out here, and then I put a high-tech coating here. I test them. I want to find out which coatings are scratch resistant. If I drag a pallet with a nail in it, is that scratch resistant? Probably not. But shoe traffic and scuffing, and how about a little acid from a spilled beverage? Concrete will etch in a New York second. Right here, if I put Coke on here, it would etch and dull that. This surface wouldn't. So, and you can see the water just beads up when I run my finger across it. Just beads up. It doesn't want to stick. But over here, it just flattens out. So these are simple tests. The wet test. Now, see, it's taken a while, but this area that I've sprayed, you can actually see the dark line right
Right.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's because water's penetrating there and it's not penetrating here. So that's our goal, is to make something that we've restored be advantageous. The investment, because that's what they're doing. They're investing in something that costs more than just cleaning and walking away.
And
And
that's
if we're,
always, you know what, Mark? I also find that's always a good way to test if something's been sealed and to show a visual to the customer. Like I came across a granite floor the other day, and I wet out a little area while I'm talking to her, and then I showed her how it penetrated it. And I said, "Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was sealed." So that enabled me to go ahead and offer the seal to her.
And it's the opener. You have to. You're not there to sell them anything. You're there to promote knowledge that leads them to the next conclusion that you've offered on a silver platter, and that's called.
Exactly.
We can take this house, your home, your tile, to a better level, another place, and that's kind of cool.
That's what it's all about, right? Mm-hmm.
Exactly. These are fake wood veneers. These are fake veneers. Fake veneer, rusty plate, tanker.
Jason Frequez. I'm sorry if I say it, I'm not pronouncing it properly. With Southwest Steamers, are you the one that was talking about that you maintain the Saltillo every 9 to 14 months? You have to remember we have a chat over here. I don't know if you can see the chat or not.
No, I can't.
Not you. Well, I'm talking about this guy's here. Okay, this is a guy named Jason, and he's the one that said you were wrong, Mark, about that.
Yeah. Well, we're, theoretically, one could be wrong about anything. If I say you're wrong about putting on a oil-based or a solvent-based protector or coating, I've done it many times. Now, does that make me wrong, or does that make me damage the floor? Am I doing something horrible? I'm just choosing a different way to promote protection for the customer. I don't like to come back and strip and wax. That's what's kept the supermarket industry alive. They're down to 11 cents a square foot. I charged $1, $2, $3 a square foot to strip and reseal a Saltillo or a slate or a quartzite that's super craggy or sandstone. Sandstone, I don't have any samples here. They are buried
How
somewhere.
much are you charging, Jason? He said you can never recover the floor if you put that in.
When you say recover, meaning reseal it, strip and reseal it?
I don't know if he means, yeah, he doesn't
I
say.
think
I don't know if he means recover to save it, or is he saying to recover you can't recode it?
Yeah. Well, and in a way he's right, but in a way he's wrong. If a polyurethane is one of the hardest finishes that we have that's common. We have polyaspartic, we have epoxy, and we have acrylic, and then we have polyurethane. Polyurethane is what they put on driveways when they're done putting the character color epoxy on. It is harder wearing than epoxy. It is way harder than acrylic. And so guess what? Acrylics are low cost. You can get them at Zep over at Home Depot. Put your own mop and slop and leave coatings, 3 of them. You can get a Bear's wet look sealer, which enhances. Walk away, and you've got this glossy, beautiful coating on the Saltillo. But the elements, abrasion, certain chemicals will retard it and break it down. A urethane, water-based or solvent-based, are much more durable, much harder against scratch and abrasion. But yes, he's right. You're not going to strip it with wax stripper. It'll require polyurethane stripper, paint stripper, the methylene chloride, dangerous, flammable. You don't want to be in the room using it type of stripper. The gel strippers, you strip paint off of furniture or aircraft.
Well, he's got a comment here. I'll go ahead and get to it. But just by the way, Kevin, yeah, I would definitely cut it off. There shouldn't be no reason you can't cut it off. I don't know which ETM you have, but I would definitely cut it off because you don't want to mix them with your pre-spray. All right, we'll go back to what this Jason said. He said, if you put permanent sealer on Saltillo tile, you will not be able to recover the Saltillo ever again without drastically changing the look of it to a point where you will have to demo it out. Water base always needs to be used. 20% solids or higher maintenance program is put into place to keep up with the tile. You can never really ever get a customer to fully strip it to tile again.
Meaning, if a urethane was used that's solvent-based or water-based, I think that's what he means. And the argument is kind of, I'm not sure of his actual argument because I've done it many times. I've gone into homes where I didn't know it was urethane. I'm trying to strip it with my usual acrylic floor finish, my best stuff, not my cheap stuff, but my best stuff, and it wasn't budging 1 inch. So he is right. But who cares? If the customer wants longevity, they don't want to strip and wax every 4 to 6 months or even every year. They should have bought a porcelain or ceramic version of Saltillo, which they don't. There's no such thing. You can't get the charm and
So
character.
that's why you're trying to. That's why you recommend, or some people recommend, and it's getting popular now, an alternative solution.
Yeah, it's for the
A
guy.
permanent solution.
Absolutely. can't stand the maintenance. You see what I'm saying? If they
Mm-hmm.
do a porcelain version of it that looks real, I'd shout to the rooftop, guys. I look everywhere for them. There is nobody making a realistic looking Saltillo in porcelain. If they did, I think they'd sell the crud out of them.
Yeah,
You
you're
say
lying.
popular Saltillo has actually fallen off like crazy. It was
Why is
ever.
it so hard to duplicate the look?
It takes multi patterns. Saltillo has no two alike because they're made
Mm.
by hand.
Wow, it's
They're
almost like a
soft,
fingerprint.
cold, they're baked in the sun to dry initially, and then they're put into a fire. They used to build a huge fire out of burnt car tires and rubbish. They can't do that in the States, so it was done in Mexico. Our standards of EPA are really down our throats, so we can't do it the traditional way. So
Right,
another
right.
gas-fired furnaces, but they put some toxic chemicals in there to give it those really interesting patinas, those golds and those corals, and they're lapped because they set the tiles on top of each other on the edges. So that's why there's stripes along the edges.
Mm.
A bunch of pictures, but I can't show them to you on the phone while I'm on the phone. So Saltillo is
You don't
just
have any samples there, huh? That's interesting.
yeah. Let's see. There's going to be
Uh,
Saltillo.
yeah, type that in there. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that's what created the difference because they're using, uh, like you said, burning tires and stuff like that. That's
Right. So
craziness.
your traditional ones are going to look with these colors, but I don't see
Yes.
the
Mm-hmm.
see the blushing looks on the
Yes.
corners, yellow.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's from
they're
stacking, you're saying?
yeah, they stack them on the edges, and they'll get those
Wow.
effects.
But
Look
it
at the
also gives it a
this,
unique look.
this is an arabesque pattern. Do you see the little dog ear wings on the side?
Yes.
That's where this one was. Another one was stacked on top of it, creating that. So this is clearly from stacking. The heat didn't evenly cook that tile, but was protected by the piece stacked on top of it, kind of
Mm.
a cookie stack. So let's go to images. It always works
It's
better.
funny how that actually makes it creates a look that the customer desires too in the
Exact
process.
gloss on it. That's the glaze. Some people don't want a glaze. They want the natural texture. So,
That's
but
glaze right there you're showing, correct?
you can see how
Look how
glossy.
glazed that one is.
Yeah,
That's too
wet.
much. I think that's overkill.
Well, some people think it's drop dead gorgeous. Remember, art and beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I've stripped and waxed many of these kind of tiles.
He's asking you, Mark, do you know how Saltillo tile was made? Didn't you just say how it's made?
Yeah, it originated in Saltillo, Mexico. There's a clay that has these really rich orangey red colors, and the quarry pits where the clay comes from are so clean they don't have those bits of lime in them. And
Hmm.
once you get polluted quarry, then that haunts you later when you strip it down the road and water gets down, soaks into the tile, which that's the goal of stripping. Strip as quick as you can and don't let water soak on it too long, or it's gonna get down to that lime and you get what's called lime pops. They're like little upside down volcanoes, and those little volcanoes end up kind of haunting you. Yeah, there we go. Good example of little stripes along the edges
Mm-hmm.
where the other tile was stacked on it.
Look at
No,
that.
like actually,
That's a
actually,
good observation, Mark. How did you learn that? Because that's
it,
interesting.
it's packed with this crap. So it was it. This is the tile I love to hate because it.
That's so true. You know what? I think everybody loves to hate it. Apparently, this other guy here, Jason, doesn't love to hate it. He loves it.
Well, because there's good money. Ask him how much he makes per square foot on this stuff.
I thought he said $3.50 to $5 a square foot.
There you go. It's
That's
better,
why he loves it.
right?
I've always said, even when you're cleaning furniture, some guys hate to clean furniture. I said, well, charge enough till you love it. That's what I do.
Exactly, and then get good at it and
That's
streamline.
right. Mm-hmm.
And is now it's unforgiving. Like if you have to replace one and you can't find the original source, and you see those tiles.
Look at that. That's what's going to happen. Yep.
Yeah, you got to now your
Look
challenge
at
is
that. I've seen that before too.
Yeah, and so here's one that was
It
sealed.
always kills me why these installers and builders don't provide them with a couple of extra boxes of
Well,
product.
because the installers see 3 extra cases that, well, they're not going to need 3 extra cases. I'll just take them home and do a bathroom. Who paid for it? The homeowner. Who doesn't care whether you take them or not? The homeowner.
Okay.
They should, but they don't know better. They don't know that this is an insurance policy in a box in the garage.
Sure
Just
is.
a slab leak, and you have to reach some pipes and tear out the floor. So this is knowledge that if you guys have, you can build trust with your clients so they believe what you're saying. Oh, look
Absolutely.
at that. A turbo cleaning a hex.
Check that out.
Let me tell you what what should I say? The opportunity isn't just cleaning and sealing. Do you know how many of these jobs I have color sealed prior to putting on the final gloss coat? A
Oh,
whole
what a tedious task, Mark.
$dollars a square foot.
What a tedious task, though. I know,
No,
like you said, though, charge enough to love it. Yeah, true.
and it isn't that tedious. This one is less tedious. Why? Because they're straight lines, intersections, right? This one's
Mark, hey, Mark, he made a good point here. He says sometimes you have to acid the whole floor to change the color if you have really bad color loss.
in Saltillo.
Yeah.
Yeah, acid does not affect clay in the least. If, for example, this was stained with something that had an acid reactive dye, yeah, it will do some things. Hopefully, not bad. It's unforgiving. If there's
He
effervescence,
said he's never color sealed clay. Oh my God. I think he's
no,
talking about
no,
the grout
yeah,
lines.
I understand. This is an example
He's
of a
talking
color.
about the grout lines, JC. He's
Yeah,
not talking about the actual tile, the actual
yeah,
clay.
not color seal tile. It's what it is. Now I have, because guess what, guys? How do I, if I have some lime pops in a Saltillo, can I fix those? Well, kind of, but how do I fix it and make it look like it wasn't a
Yeah,
fix?
I know where you're going with this. I
You're
agree.
going to put a fast setting cement, then you're going to fill it, and then you're going to character color it the exact shade of this, whatever, where if the line pops in there, I need that color. If the line pops in the
Yep.
middle, I need that color. So I use my color sealer all the time to feather over my repair. They walk in,
I
they go,
knew you were
wait,
going to say that. I agree.
they say, did you change the tile? I didn't have any left over in the garage. Where'd you get the tile? I said, no, I fixed your line pop. They go jaw dropping. How? No one, I've called all kinds of people. They don't know how to fix it. They say, you got to take it out. If you can fix it, and say, I charge $188 to change a tile. If they have one, if they don't, I'll charge $80 to do a repair that
Ab-
cost me 10 minutes worth of time.
absolutely. You just MacGyvered that tile.
Well, and it looks good. No, if I could build a,
Absolutely.
now there you go. That's
Hey,
effluent.
listen, I fix it. I fix little cracks and stuff that way. You
This
know.
is where I can help. You can go ahead and get that efflorescence gone off that tile. Fountains. If you got fountains and waterfalls leaking and stuff, that's what an acid will do. It won't hurt your tile. It will hurt your grout long term because grout is made of a limestone cementitious material, and it does not like that's not that's just gloss, believe it or not. It does not like acid because it will etch the grout and eat it away. The more you use an acid, the more
Of
it eats.
course.
So I got a call from a cathedral in Chicago. All they had was Saltillo every day. It was 200 years old. This
Wow.
cathedral, insane. And I'm thinking, wow, um, I didn't know Saltillo's baked dirt. So do you think it's pretty ancient, even predates ceramic tile? Probably. So the idea that uh, these are ancient looking, even though they're high maintenance in one sense of the word, they can be restored over and over as long as there's the substrate's good and the tile's not cracked up, the tile's not moving around. The other problem, if you don't put a coating on these floors, they will sand down. So when guys use stripper pads, I could not emphasize more. If you're using a stripper pad, it's highly abrasive and it's going to sand the surface down. So if you're stripping wax off and you want to hurry it up and you want to use an abrasive pad like you would on a VCT floor, don't do it because you're just sanding the surface. On the surface of a saltillo is a slip, a very thin clay. It's got a thin layer on top, and just under the skin is sand grits, air bubbles. If I could zoom in, you'd see those are air bubbles on the end grain.
Oh yeah, I
If
see it on the end there. Yep. Mm-hmm.
look at this tile on that side. You see that little blister? That's an air bubble. If you pop that bubble and this bubble down here, if you pop that, it'll be a hole. And I
Yeah.
see it caved in all the time. You guys have seen them that have seen and encountered Saltillo.
Yeah. You know what? He just said it, and I agree. I was thinking the same thing. Never use a black pad. He's saying all chemical
Yeah, just
and
let
time, of
be patient.
course.
You can use a soft poly brush, a carpet brush. I don't even use a machine because I don't like how it spins around and centrifugally throws it onto the wall here. Do I want to? Do you want to put all of this wall or cabinets or
Now you're trying to quit.
yeah? And do I really want to tape everything? Because guess what
Tape and
makes
drape.
tape fluff off? You wet tape and it just falls off. Chemicals will move right up under the tape and actually wick up under and dwell on that painted surface for a lot longer period. So this is kind of great going online, you guys, because you actually can see tons of other people.
Absolutely. I like that.
I didn't have to take them. How about that? Oh, and there's those guys. You know, you got to get that charming little critter, the kitty cat, or the raccoon, or the coyote that walks through the clay. I had a guy who used to work in Saltillo, Mexico, and he said, "Yeah, let me show you how they do that." He took his finger, he pushed these three little dimples, and he took a pencil and made the toenails from the dog or the coyote.
No way.
Yeah, we don't. You know, he said, but a chicken, we don't. It takes too long to do a chicken, so we take a chicken leg. It's on a beaded chain, and he has it on. And every 50th tile, he imprints that clay with a dead chicken's leg.
Oh gosh, that's horrible, but
Yeah.
humorous.
Yeah. Well, when you see a dinosaur footprint across it, you'll go, yeah, that's fake.
Yeah.
So here's the Saltillo where they deliberately turned the grout black. So I had a customer in Scottsdale. They said, you know what? It just looks like chicken wire to me. Yeah. If you saw a whole house done in that, would
Sure
it look
does.
like
Takes away the whole look.
well, it's super strong. It's graphic. It's very distracting. So I said, well, I can change the color after we strip all the wax off. He says, you can? You can't. That would take for
You know they love that, Mark. They
they
love that.
they thought I was grinding the grout out to change the color. I said, no, I'm going to color seal that for you. I was $4 a square foot, obviously for all the labor.
Easily.
And after I color sealed it, they wanted to not see any grid, and they made it Saltillo colored. So we made a special.
I'd love to see a before and after picture of that, Mark.
I've got them somewhere.
Yeah, send me them. We could have put those up here. We'll maybe put them up next time we do a class.
Here's the I hate grout so bad I'm gonna shove them bad boys as tight as possible. Picture.
Look at that.
There's almost no room for grout. I would use unsanded grout. Here's the problem. These Saltillo are very precise and have to be. I'll bet they threw about 10% of these off the side because they would not fit together. Saltillo, when they're handmade, they're mud thrown into a wooden mold. They're then, they put newspaper over the back of them, let them kind of dry in the sun so there's no moisture in them. Then they turn them over, and you'll sometimes see a handprint on the back of some of these where they've handled them. And then they proceed to move them into the kiln to bake them, to give them those charming. There's your little
they
corner.
hand make them, and they're that precise, Mark.
Well, someone had to. Maybe they had to cut them too to make them, because you cannot fit those that tight unless you have some real fine craftsmanship in making.
Ain't kidding.
There's no way you're going to fit them that tight. So, and Saltillo are very pillowy, bumpy, uneven, inconsistent. But when they're glossed up, they look pretty cool. Most of my customers do not like that gloss wet look. They would rather see
that's Mark. That's just 80s and 90s. Not anymore. People want that muted, that matte muted look these days.
That's why the glossy
minimalism
more, and that's our problem. So when you walk into a house and you grab, you got this faux wood plank. My house is in a barnwood porcelain. Every bit of my house, except one bedroom, has.
That's porcelain?
Yeah, and they're 1/8-inch grout joints, and dog not included. Right, Bastian? So those lines are pretty tight, and it requires good skill on an installer to not have any lippage. It's an excellent job. This piece, however...
Can you see this, Mark? Can you see this? That's the LVP that I did today. Yeah. I'll put the pictures up later in this thread.
Looks like real wood, doesn't it?
Okay, but wait a minute now. That's before I coated it. Now look at it after I coated it.
Yeah, you see reflections of the post and the walls and the doorway into the kitchen. Yeah,
brings out all the grain look of it. They were super pleased with it. Makes a huge difference.
Part of your pre-inspection is to help you know what it is. Touch it. If it's cold, it's porcelain or ceramic. When you take your fingernails, you're going to see just what kind of a job it's going to be.
Yeah. I did that today as part of the video. I ran my fingers against my fingernail against the grain so people could hear it, and explaining to them, how you got to get those grooves clear. If you don't, it's not going to bite whatever product you're putting down on it.
Not just the grooves in the vinyls and the wire brush, but this is micro grit. So I have a stereo microscope. I'm able to look into a product deeply, try to find out why is this floor have that. And when I look in, I'm shocked to what they're doing. They're even doing this to some LVP. Some of these vinyls,
really? LVP, they're doing that too?
they're putting a texture like this one. If you look at it, do you see
Oh,
how
yeah, I can see it now when you do it. Yep.
there's little tiny grits in there that have
Why
been
is that? Are they trying to make it slip resistant?
slip resistant and, more importantly, wear resistant. If there
Ah,
was aluminum oxide or silica or quartz glass, which is a silicate, and it's a little tiny nodule in there, it's part of the surface skin. Is that going to be wear resistant? Absolutely. So they know they have a problem with perception and longevity with durability. But some companies, like here's one. This has
yeah. I
got
mean,
a.
because Mark, they have to be careful because it'll develop that Pergo reputation, and it's going to go to hell in the handbasket.
That's why they have to be a little smarter and make
Ah,
product
get creative.
anymore. So this is LVP, very thick. I mean, that's about an
That
eight.
is.
That is the opposite of this. Now, how can you tell you have this? Look at these. They're kind of similar in their appearance, aren't they? They got the same little thing going. But if I get real close, it has a robotic stipple. You see how those little
Mm-hmm.
stipples like they're
Yep.
identical and they don't
It
correspond.
almost has like an orange peel look.
Yep, and micro orange peel. And then
Mm-hmm.
this one has, oh my goodness, realistic little pits and grains and
Isn't that
knots.
crazy?
But
Yeah.
look what they used to create that. Let's see if I can do this. The very skin is a 32nd of an inch thick. It's like a credit card. If I were to get the focus on this, here, go black background.
It's as thick as a
It's
credit card. Oh yeah, I
right
see it.
how thick
Mm-hmm. Look at
that
that.
clear vinyl on the top. The skin that gives it that color character is below. So I cannot scratch that skin and damage that visual look at all. And
Wow.
in that thick skin is your abrasive grits that are resisting. This is a much higher price. That's why they call it life proof. Not that that means anything. Meaning you can just don't drag anything heavy across it. So these are, and again, this whole family is different manufacturers, different thicknesses, different compositions, but it's all called vinyl, luxury vinyl, and so are all these. They're all vinyl. Here's one sandwiched like an Oreo. What is that? Three different.
But Mark, really, even though there are so many, we don't want to lead a lot of people to mass confusion. They can all still be buffed and recoated.
Hey, yeah,
Every one of those.
every one of those. So know that if you're going to do that, you need to make it clear to the customers that when we make the coating stay or be bonded, we have to prep it, and the preparation process allows the coating to bond.
Yeah, to
Otherwise,
get that
it'll peel
bite.
up
Prep is
bad.
king.
Yeah, it'll peel up. Puts tape down and pulls it up. It's going to come right off. So the prep pad is essential to making that happen. But if they change their mind later, you can't. You got to make sure they understand that we can't go back to the original vinyl that typically resists soiling because you put
Well, I can't completely agree with that. I think it depends on how aggressive you go. And it depends on the texture of the floor at the same time. Because that floor I did today, Mark, you couldn't really tell with the naked eye. But yet it still created quite a bite with the prep pad.
and you did a tape test or a scratch test to
Mm-hmm.
the results. So, but you just have to make sure the customer's really content, happy with it. Maybe a disclaimer.
But yeah, you know what? If just in case, that kind of covers your butt. So you're probably better off to go ahead and set that expectation level along with that. I agree with you because what if it did dull up really bad? They're stuck with it.
Yeah. In fact, what happens when a floor becomes micro abraded? I don't mean scratches. Scratches, what are micro abrasions? But very, very tiny scratches that came because of dirt under shoes, constant traffic, dragging a box, a kid pushing something across the floor, and all that tiny grit makes super tiny scratches. You don't really see them until they load with dirt. That's why back in the 70s, they embossed vinyl square tiles, peel and stick, or even sheet goods. They embossed it to have kind of a texture on purpose to follow the design underneath, some kind of a stoic background texture. And those high points would take the brunt of the abrasion where the low points stayed shiny because you couldn't connect with them with a foot, with a flat shoe. And so that abrasive process would happen on the surface. I did a vinyl apartment that had vinyl sheet goods in it, and it was filthy. I mean, it's horrid. And the lady said, I should just tear this out. I go, let me try something. So I got my mini turbo. By the way, guys, that's my ancient mini turbo.
That
That's
is oh my gosh, Mark, that's a relic.
first mini turbo. But
Look at
anyway,
that thing.
on the floor, shot a video, and I made a pass right through that floor on camera. Really crude, ugly, low resolution camera, but there was dirt in one sweep, disappeared, no scrubbing. And the heat and the pressure from my truck mount under that tool made every bit of that micro dirt leave the floor. Now, did I fix the floor? No, I cleaned the floor. If I walked away and did nothing more, that floor would in 1 week start to accumulate, and in a month it would be hideous. In a year it would be the grossest floor you'd ever, just like I'm walking into.
Mark, we got a couple comments here. I want to grab them. Okay.
What's the answer there? Let's put a coating. Now it's restored and will not absorb. So that's where.
Instead of refinish, I might use that word restore with my packages. I like that better. So I'll have a revive, a refresh, and a restore. The 3 R's by Rob. I like that.
Rob's
Well,
3 R's.
I'm going to offer those 3 options. Mark, somebody asked here, it says, hey, I have a vinyl plank that is so hard to mop because of, I don't know if he meant to print this here. TETIRE. Can that floor be cleaned with the truck mount?
Tire? What would that?
I don't know what could you respell that?
Or re-clarify with another?
Or another word? I believe his name is Pepe, so I get a feeling, it might be a little bit of language difference. I can't tell for sure. I have a vinyl plank that is so hard to mop because of the tire, whatever it is. Can that floor be cleaned with the truck mount? I mean,
if it's vinyl, absolutely.
That's what I was thinking exactly. I don't see why.
If it's laminate and has MDF under it, absolutely not.
But if he's saying vinyl plank, he's talking LVP, Mark.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's no problem. Yeah, I would. Hey, listen. Today when I did my video for what's coming out on YouTube next week, I used my spinner right over top of it. Came out beautiful. I'm not afraid to use it. Some guys are.
I did one today or yesterday. It was a house that had pets galore, beautiful home, 10-foot ceilings, everything, and it had LVP in it. That house, you walk through the door, stunk. It reeked.
Can imagine.
I used Unchained. Well, first I used Grout
Master.
Grout Master, because it's the sugars, the oils, it was the cooking, right. Everything, the soup. And then when you use Unchained, the oxidative action was attacking my urine. Where was the urine? The surface is no problem. I didn't need to go crazy. I could have just rinsed the floor because vinyl is waterproof. It has a surface. It might be textured, but a turbo and the pressure and heat from water is going to remove everything instantly without even scrubbing. However, it's the cracks and grooves between these little buggers.
Absolutely.
That are the problem. They're going to harbor things. It's going to spill.
Well, Mark, that's a problem for them, but that's a solution capability for us.
Ready for us to repair.
Exactly.
Our processes with our cleaning. These tongues and groove, these systems that lock flooring together are nifty, but they're not waterproof. Okay, I'm going to throw these two together. There we go.
Mark, I always like the word, even though they might say, I like to use the word water resistant, hopefully, depending on the floor. I've never used waterproof.
Yeah, well, the vinyl is waterproof, but it's cracks between that will still allow water to get underneath.
Exactly.
So, like this product that's MDF gets
wet,
well, and become crap. So you've got to at least know and start with that process and know that you.
That's why I said when in doubt, you're going to have to use the minimal. You have to go the least. It's just like anything else. You're going to go the least aggressive.
Right, but if you can move over to the more aggressive, because what you're going to have a labor saver if you can zip in, zip out.
Of course, but if you don't know, in doubt, you're going to have to punt. But I would say 90 to 95% of the time, you're going to know by going through the process we're talking about right here. And let's see. There's an HVAC boss. He's been trying to get a hold of me. Looks like he's on YouTube. Look, man, you can get me on Facebook real easy, and you can't send a message through YouTube, but come over to our Facebook group or find me up on Facebook. Send me a private message, and I'll be glad to answer it or get in touch with us. I don't know who this HVAC boss is. Sorry to say that, but I can't actually see it. I wonder if I can go on here and see who the actual person is. Probably not.
So we've got things like slate that have a natural craggy texture. I'm going to try to capture this edge. Those of you who have touched slate, they're not flat. They're not smooth. It's a sedimentary stone, and it has a lot of different mineral content that gives it these amazing metallic characters. but they have crags that are going to trap dirt and soils right under here, and that's not moppable. So these require coatings. Now, what I'm showing you is pretty amazing. This hasn't become widespread. No one even hardly knows about this stuff. These are slate. Every one of these, this one, and this one. Do you know of any slate that you can take and bend? Can you bend slate and expect it to just do that and bend back?
Sorry, Mark, I'm sending a message. Oh, check that out.
Have you ever seen stone that can bend? It can be mounted on the wall. It can be put in the shower. It can be waterproofed. It can be coated.
That's not this, Mark. Now, wait, put that back in your hand you just had there. That's not the stuff they're putting the lights behind, is it?
Yes, not this particular style. They're going to do that on.
I love that stuff.
They're going
It
to put
looks
that.
gorgeous.
Now that's a common. You've seen that slate.
Yeah,
It's
of
like
course.
chocolate, right?
But I've gone in some buildings, man. They're putting those lights behind those
They're
things.
putting this on skyscrapers. Look, it looks like ostrich boot leather.
Crazy.
This is going to be entering our arena. We're gonna clam up and go, oh, I've never seen that before. Wait a minute, how could they put that on a wall? Look how thin. That is paper thin. Right here is the thinnest spot I could find in there. And it's mounted to polyester resin and fiberglass. So it is flexible.
Oh, I can.
And these products can be sealed, they can be coated, and they're complete. They can be wrapped around a pillar. They're light, so they can be put anywhere. Now here's one that is quartzite. You see those sparkles in there?
Yeah.
Super metallic, super glitzy.
I think I can answer that. Let's check it out. I was able to do it. Cool.
If we don't know what this stuff is, and we don't know that we can do a lot of things to it, then we're walking away from money. The opportunity to make something restored. That was really deep. The texture on that, look at that.
That's gorgeous. Mark, remember, some people will be on Spotify listening to this. So give them the rundown from the start to finish, and I'll give them the rundown how I feel about it, Mark. Give them what you're trying to accomplish. Give them the whole thrust of this.
So the more you know, the more you can do. The more you can do, the more you can earn. Your reputation's on the line too. Now, do you want a reputation that says, yeah, he's a great cleaner, I'll recommend him to you, or man, this guy's a miracle worker? What does that mean? He can do things few can do. What you can charge is based on how rare your services are. If you can charge more, it's because no one's competing with you. Does that actually make sense?
Absolutely.
Supply and demand. So if you're gonna polish marble, which guys are afraid of that, but polishing marble, you just first have to know there's a need. Ma'am, I get it. Your marble's pretty worn out. You spilled acid all over. Your kids have food fight with Coke, and phosphoric acid just sends that marble into dull land. So what are we going to do? We can put a wax on it and shine the crud out of it. It's going to look gorgeous. Yeah, you can do that. I've walked into jobs. Zero Res calls me all the time and has me fix the floors that they walk into that somebody waxed. They don't want to do it because they don't know what to do. Or you can polish it and pick up $3, $4, $5 a square foot. If you got 175 machine, you got the right Bonastra pad or whatever media you want. There's 3 ways to shine a floor based on the type of media and the chemistry you're going to use. There's 3 to 4 different machines you can use to do the same thing. So learn how to do those things. But even if you learned how, but you don't know how to recognize the opportunity because you think, oh, that's a marble. No, it's not. It's a porcelain. Or if it's a porcelain, you think it's a marble. Do you guys know what this is? It's some gorgeous, gorgeous stone out there, right?
Now that looks like the stuff you see the lights behind.
Yeah.
How thin is that? Can I see the side? The profile?
Pretty thick.
Oh, that's pretty thick, yeah.
But it's not thick. You know how much a stone that would be marble like this would be? It'd be at least a ½ inch thick, or wouldn't make it to your job site. It would be all cracked up. It had to be thick. This is porcelain, my friends. This is porcelain. You can do a slab. Look at the slab on it.
That is very realistic.
Can you read backwards? That says 48 by 103. Wrap your head around that for a minute. A tile that is 48 inches by 103 inches.
That's insanity.
That's how you shower. That's how you clad a shower.
That's still insanity.
And here we go. But would you be afraid of etching that with some wrong cleaner?
No.
Here's one. Does that look like a cool brushed stone? It's called leathered. You know, you could leather stone and bring out the hard and soft matrix. If I run my hand across it, it's actually got a texture. All that bright, shiny stuff is taller, is out versus what's behind. But that's because of the glaze they put on it. It's photorealistic because it was actually digitally copied from a real marble slab
Hmm.
in size of 48 by 103. All of these. Carrera marble, no gloss here. It's a satin, right? People want satin, they're going to get it. Look at that color.
That's gorgeous.
Huge pieces. So, is this acid sensitive? Anybody know? Guess quick.
No.
No, because it's porcelain.
That's the whole point.
Scratched? Yeah, it's hard, but it can still be scratched
And
because
it looks, and I'm telling you, Mark, you're right. They have done such a good job
and
of imitating these looks. It's
so
insanity.
afraid of something. You're only afraid when you don't know anything. You know, fear is created by lack of knowledge, right? You shouldn't be afraid of something if you understand it. And it's just simple as that. We could steer people into better opportunities and recognizing things, they're not going to turn tail and run. They're going to say, run away from that one. That's scary. No, it isn't. I mean, obviously, don't just dive in blindly. And that's why the more you learn, the more you can earn. Travertine.
Hey, that's my terminology.
Yeah. So you've got uh, a travertine that has holes in it. It was made with holes. It's made from water and organic materials or seashells if it's oceanic. But most of this is made interior from creatures and plants and twigs and mosses and algae, and then calcium collected and collected and collected. There's a place here in Havasupai. Look it up. It's a bucket list. There was a Nicolas Cage movie filmed down there. It is drop dead gorgeous. These pools have aqua turquoise water, and they're all at different levels. That is travertine
Why
being.
didn't you have me visit when I was out there?
It's a long drive. It's between the Grand Canyon. It's a bit of a drive. Oh, and did I say that it's a 22-mile hike downhill and up on?
No way.
Yeah, you would have, Rob. You would have taken the helicopter in because they do offer a helicopter.
Oh, that's cool. You know what? I can't get Sandy on a helicopter, but I love helicopters. My favorite way to fly.
So,
Love them.
well, you have another way. If it were me to do again, I would
Can you
immediately.
motorcycle in, or can you electric bike in?
No, they let you have to. There used to be a year-long wait to get there, meaning you waited on a list. Now it's 3 years because everyone from all over the world. It's
Oh
a
my
bucket.
gosh, 3 years?
High Falls. You have
Yeah.
to wait. There are people from when we were hiking down. There's a whole crew from Germany in there. Couldn't understand a word they were saying, and they went down there and camped at the bottom when they got there. It's a whole Indian tribe. They have a Havasupai tribe, and this Nicolas Cage movie was filmed down there and up higher on the rim. But it is a beautiful one solid day hike, and it is light backpack. I had a 60-pounder, and that was the dumbest thing I ever did. But anyway, live and learn. The switchbacks make it 22 miles out, 11 miles in. So it's 11 miles. But when you're hiking out and up switchbacks against gravity, it was
Wait a
22.
minute now. Are you saying you can still hike in if you want to at any time?
Oh, no, you have to wait about 3 years
You
now to
still
get.
have to even for the hike. That's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah, because there are some places in this canyon that two people shoulder to shoulder can't fit through. So
Oh,
that's. Have you seen Antelope Canyon on the pictures there in Utah?
we went to a place and they were mountain climbing. Forgot where it was at,
Like
but
cliff
we went
climbing.
we went through a little place like that, and that was tough to get through. You're right. One person could only get through it.
But this travertine is being created in real time. It just needs billions of metric tons of pressure and a couple of years to turn it into stone. But it is being created right there. It's the beginning stages of how travertine is created. So, understanding it, and then you'll know why there's holes. Then you know and learn how to fix the holes. And we make money fixing these holes for people after their chairs roll around and crush the face. So learn what you have so that you can then offer opportunities. We started this out by talking about the different services you can provide as long as you knew what you could do with a certain material. There's the porcelain. I'm testing different sealers to see which ones will create satin or shine, or which ones stick the best, which ones can
They
be
did a
stripped.
good job making that look from a distance. Really looks like wood.
Oh yeah, the texture, the visual, the
The
photographic make
visual. Mm-hmm.
perfect. The visual, the actual texture is this stripe here. That's the stripe that's the dullest. You see how I did not put a coating on it? But look what's interesting. Tell me what you see in that coating, in that stripe that hasn't got a single coating on it. What do you see in the veining?
The
Watch,
openings there.
it's shinier there. Now you see
Mm-hmm.
the dark grain when I
Yeah.
get the
Why
light.
is that?
They did it on purpose. That's computer imagery. AI has taken is to a new level. They can actually repeat or make a tile with no repeat pattern. Will nature
That's
make a spot that's
that
exactly
is very problematic.
that's amazing to me that they're going to make
It
no
is, but it's problematic for us.
oh yeah, for being able to identify. But remember the test? If
Yeah,
this
of
were
course. You can definitely hear the difference in it.
if I put my hand on real wood, it wouldn't be
Hmm.
right now is.
Well, I mean, we're pretty sure we're going to know that's not wood, but I
Yeah.
got you.
Well, walking into a room, you won't because I wouldn't. I would say, "Oh, beautiful. When did you change your carpet to wood?" It's not wood; it's tile. So now I don't ever assume it's real wood or anything. I poke around, I touch it, I tap it with my finger. I want to hear I want to hear sounds. I want to touch it and feel how cold it is because wood is never that cold. Wood is completely different temperature. So
Hmm.
easy testing. You don't have to scratch it to tell. Yeah, if I scratch it, I just scratched your floor, ma'am. Is that okay if I scratch your floor because I'm too stupid to know whether it's wood or not?
Okay,
That's
Mark, we're going a little long here.
okay.
Let me
Well,
let
how
me.
much do we charge for every minute over?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll send you the bill. Anyway, let me sum it up. Okay,
Right.
you did a good job of summing it up. Let me sum it up from my perspective. I would say that, like you said, the more you learn, the more you earn. So, but on the other hand, you're also building credibility. So credibility builds profits and trust because they'll trust you with their furnishings. They'll trust you to go ahead and offer the right solution, and they'll follow your recommendation because they know what you're talking about. And people can sense BS real quick.
Oh, they read you like a book.
So you want to go ahead and you can't BS them. You need to know your product and you need to know your service. So when you're going in there, you're going to identify the floor. The sooner you can identify it, the sooner you can identify the solution. And then my three solutions are what I call the three R's. Okay, I call it the three R's. I'd like to revive it, which I'm just going to clean it and make and revive the look from the original look, hopefully the best I can. And then I'm going to offer to refresh it, and that's where I'm going to put a 1-year coating on there, or I'm going to offer to restore it, and with a finish where it's going to be 100% urethane. So I'm giving them those three options. Now I agree with you. I may work on offering a fourth option, but as of right now, I'm not. But I do think, Mark, that would be a good idea to offer that fourth option. So, by offering all those options and knowing those options, you can't offer something you don't know. And the client can't make a decision on something that she's not aware of because basically you're offering them a solution to not only just preserve the floor look, but to also improve the floor look while adding another wear layer. You agree with all that, Mark?
You're reducing her maintenance because that's one of the things that some of these
Yep.
floors just they weren't what she thought. But how
Right.
do you turn back and say, "Darn that interior designer, she took us, didn't she?"
It's
she just
already in.
it's
You
in.
stuck
You
with
can't
it.
go back. If you have unlimited money, yeah, rip it out and just start over. But you have a third option. Don't rip it out. Don't live with it. We have an option.
Hey, this guy Alex here, he's commenting about the wood you were talking about earlier. The wood look on that floor. When the AI says, honestly, I've never seen a tile that actually looked that real of wood. I agree, Alex, especially if you've not done more than a passing glance at it. So you're right, Mark. And I agree with Alex. You walk inside that room, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to think it's wood. But, you're going to find out real quickly. Hopefully, you're going to find out very quickly and figure it out. I mean, just tapping it and feeling it is going to tell you, correct, Mark? And even walking on it, I'm kind of starting to develop, even just by walking on it, how it feels.
Yeah, when you touch it, temperature, you can scratch with a tiny penknife, and if it doesn't scratch, wood is going to scratch, vinyl is going to scratch, and in the case of some of these so-called hardwoods, my thumbnail scratched them.
Yeah, that was
Really?
crazy.
That's who would have thunk, right?
Yeah.
So porcelain can these be restored? My countertops here are porcelain, and just not a slab porcelain because you can now buy complete slabs of porcelain that have no seams, but these are epoxy grout joints. And these slabs I set, they're 24 this whole thing's 24 inches deep.
Mm-hmm.
And when certain strong acid got set here and some micro scratches, I had to polish it. I couldn't even see the reflection of this lamp right in here. So
But most think you can't polish porcelain.
You can, as long as it's the right kind. What is this polished porcelain? How did they do it? If they can do it, I can do it, right?
Good point.
We just did some lemons here. Can you believe lemons can do this? Do you see right here? Let's see if I can. Yeah, do you see that clutter?
Well,
Right?
Mark, couldn't you put a coating on that to keep that from happening?
I could. This is my lab for experimenting. My wife let me do that often because she doesn't know what's going to happen when I'm done. She's stuck with it if it didn't work.
True.
But this is dull, shiny, kind of inconsistent because
I see that.
I got some acid going here again. So you'd think porcelain would be acid proof.
I would think that 100%.
Polished porcelain is still microporous. This is not a glazed product. Some of them are, most of them are. But when you polish the thing,
it's too funny, but most people think of porcelain as non-porous.
Yep, they can if they want, but it's not the reality. Reality is, so here's the bullnose that I put on this.
You're saying it's microporous. That's a good way to put it.
Very, very, very slightly, enough to where it comes in. This tile right here, this is porcelain. It says made in Italy. This is the tiles I put on my wall. This whole back is this antique, rustic, kind of, I don't know what you call this, demolition.
Do you think, Mark, though, for some reason, though, now I'm kind of gotten to the point where I feel like I can tell if it's real or not just by the looks. I don't know why, but maybe the human eye has the capability to figure it out. But if AI working against us, we're in trouble.
Kind of, but that's the ultimate, is to make something so real that people will pay big bucks for it. Yet, a real tile like this, it would be too thick. It wouldn't make it. They don't make real tile very thin because when you put it in a case, ship it across the world, it's going to come 30% broken. So porcelain is much denser than real stone. So like these particular chair rails here, these are real travertine.
I had a feeling that's what it looks like. See, that looks real.
That's right. They're $22 each because someone put them through a machine to shape them into that rail, and some of them got broken on the way in. So bridge as a rail brings the price up. How do we clean and restore? You can do it with pressure cleaning. You use melamine. Can you seal the holes and fill them? If Mrs. Jones says, I'm tired of food going into those. Yes, you can do all kinds of things to it.
Yep. Mark, and I'll put this last point in here. We are having a hard surface class coming up, Mark and I. We're just trying to nail down the date right now. And it's going to be a limited number of people. And we're going to be going into addressing all different types of floors, polishing, cleaning, buffing, screening, recoating, hardwood floors, LVT, stone.
Shower glass.
What's that?
Shower glass, too.
Shower glass, all kinds of things. So if you want to be a part of this, there is only going to be a limited number of spots. We've kind of limited it at 12 at the moment. So if you want to do it, make sure you get a hold of us, and we'll hopefully be able to reserve you a spot. But they may be already all full up, but we'll find out. What's right there, Martin? So
we'll have another one. Yeah, this is quartzite.
Quartzite.
And it's very durable. But who would put that in the shower? Anybody guess why anyone would do that?
For durability?
Because they're nuts. That's all. Clean soap scum off of something that craggy.
Yeah, good luck. But I've seen it, Mark.
I know.
And you know what? It's always the people with the most money.
Mm-hmm.
And they put it off for a little while. Is when they see the scum is when they want to get it cleaned.
Yeah.
And then you maintained it before that. Well, look, Mark, it's almost 11 o'clock our time here.
We'll go to bed. You can take it from here. Just kidding.
I could leave you on here. You'd probably be here all night.
I will, and I'll put him to sleep. Like my first conversation with you. Do you remember?
I'm not going to go there, Mark. Anyway, I'm Rob Allen with Truck Mount Forums. This is Mark Markovic. We will be back next week. Hopefully, we try to do this every week. The only reason I missed a week or so is because we were remodeling our shops, and we're adding, all new racks and shelves and stuff like that. When you run out of horizontal space, you got to go vertical. So we went vertical, and I tell you what, we gained a lot of space. But I almost feel like, Mark, we're kind of like the guys when they finally get around to widening an interstate. By the time they finish it, it's time to add another lane.
Yep, because
that's about where I'm at right now.
Well, your remodel is allowing us to have a dynamite, really amazing classroom.
I think so. I'm confident of that. What you got there? Last thing.
porcelain countertops. Can you believe it? That thin? They're sheathing this on a countertop.
And man, that color, I actually like that color.
Dekton, Dekton. This is really expensive.
I love that color.
Absolutely stain proof. The texture, the stipple looks natural.
Yes, it does.
They have all kinds. There's another one. Pebbly, granite looking.
That's not bad. I like that first one. That was amazing.
Very expensive, but you know what?
That's bad looking. That looks so classy, you know?
That has some dull areas.
Who would ever think that you can take a product like that and make it look so classy? That goes to show how far they've come.
Yep, and they don't stop. There'll be something new in 10 years, right?
They're kind of like you, Mark. They don't stop. Well, I'm going to end this stream, Mark. I'm Rob Allen with Truck Mount Forums. You can find a copy of this on Spotify. We should have it up in another week or so. Well, I think we're on either a 9th or 10th episode right now. And it's been going real good this year. We appreciate all the support. We started it like a couple of months ago. And somebody should tell me more about that class. I'll have to look and see who that is because you're coming from a private group. This class is going to be first class, guarantee you. So anyway, you can go to our YouTube channel. The video will be on our YouTube channel. You can listen to it on Spotify if you want to listen to it while you're working. And you can find us on Twitter. But most of all, you can find us on Facebook or you can find us on truckmountforums.com. Well, I'm Rob Allen with Truck Mount Forums, and this is Mark Markovic. Mark and I will have another subject. You know, we're going to announce it a little more. We'll announce it more ahead of time next week, Mark. Give people some advance notice. Now that I've done got my shop all done. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have yourself a great night, Mark. It's always a pleasure, brother. You know, well, I always feel like, Mark, every time we get together, it's iron sharpens iron. So I feel like we both gained something. Hopefully you feel like you gained something from it. And we appreciate all your time, your energy, and your knowledge, Mark. So thanks. I really appreciate that.
Good night.
All right. Have a great night. Hey, tell your family I said hey. And look, let's do a conference call and get my son and you, and let's get it all up to date. But you look good right now. How come you couldn't get it looking like this earlier?
Turn the phone around, and I'm real tired now, so I look better.
All right, Mark. Be good, brother. Somebody said goats. All right, man. Take care now. Be good.